Hello, my name is Lydia Hudgens. I'm a fashion photographer based in Brooklyn, and this is my series on what to do in a suit when you are trying to pose in front of the camera. This is a very basic breakdown of this. I find that this is a very staple outfit for a model's book, but if you're not a model and you just want to get more comfortable and you tend to wear suits a lot, this is some good ideas of what you can do and what you can't. Well, I will say I always feel like I don't like to say there's a hard line in the sand with anything that I do. I think posing really has preferences depending on the photographer, depending on what you're doing. If you're working with a brand, the brand might have specific call outs of what they prefer with certain things, specifically with pockets. So we'll cover that first. And my preference is always one finger out and then the rest of your fingers in. Now with hands and pockets, I don't want you to lodge. Do you see what I'm doing here with my hand kind of firmly pressing it against the fabric? You're getting a little pulling here, which doesn't look good on camera. So what you want to do is just place the hand inside versus kind of jamming it down. I don't want you to think of it specifically as, oh, I'm putting my hand in my pocket. I want it to be very intentional, but still feel organic. I do think sometimes like a full hand in pocket can be good, but again, do not jam your hand completely in the pocket. Keep it kind of soft against your body so that you're not disrupting the fabric of the pant. I personally don't love this kind of thing. I think hands can be very, very awkward and uncomfortable to pose. I find that hands are generally the thing that people struggle the most with. So I find that hiding the majority of the hand in the pant is a little bit less distracting and a lot easier for other people, especially if you're a newer model, to kind of get. And also from a brand standpoint, I want to see the product. So if your hands are out, they tend to be a little bit more distracting. My eye goes to the hand versus the pocket of the pant, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I know that's a lot to cover in the first bit of it. I might just kind of land on that. Maybe one more thing before we end. So another thing I would say, especially because this pant has pleats, this is something I always cover in my classes because I find it's always really needed and necessary depending on what you're wearing. Works for many, many things. I shoot a lot of lingerie and I find it also extremely helpful. So if you're standing with your pelvis, if you do Pilates, you'll probably understand this, but if your pelvis is back, do you see what happens here with all this extra fabric? These are like a baggier fit pant. A lot of fabric happening here. So it looks a little like slightly dumpy, I would say is the word, but all you want to do is tilt your pelvis forward and they flatten, if that makes any sense. Now, if your pelvis is like just right straight up and down, that looks nice too. But I find that if your pelvis is back, which I think sometimes we tend to do as a society, we kind of tilt our pelvis back so you kind of stick your booty out. Now, sometimes that is actually nice in photos. It feels awkward and puts a lot of tension on your back though. So tilt that pelvis forward a lot straighter, leaner of a line, and then you can kind of pose as needed from there. But that's a lot of information to cover in one video. If you guys have any more questions regarding pockets and the pant items, let me know, but I will see you in my next video.